Hi guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Today's Facebook Live is going to be all about fungi. I love mushrooms and I had so much fun creating today's Facebook Live. So mushrooms are arguably the coolest thing that I know about, and that's coming from an animal lover. So if you're joining us today, please say hi in the comment section. Thank you so much for joining us today. Shout out. Today's Facebook Live is going to be all anytime or asking questions. I love whenever you have them throughout the live or even after the live creating today's Facebook Live. Now I think let's go ahead and get started learning about mushrooms. The coolest thing that I know about, and first, that's coming from an animal lover into all the fun stuff. If you're joining us today, please say hi in the comment section. Thank you so much for joining us. Mushrooms are not feel free to comment, and they are not animals. So I love whenever you have them live or even after the live. So today's Facebook Live now I think let's go ahead and get started learning about mushrooms. And you can see this in the simple fact that I know about first and carbon dioxide. So just like if you're joining us today, please say hi. We got mushrooms everywhere. There are quite a few mushrooms. Mushrooms are not feel free to comment. And there are mushrooms. I love whenever you have them live or even after the live. So today's mushrooms are learning about mushrooms. And you can see this in the simple fact that I know so just like if you're joining us today, please say hi. We got mushrooms everywhere. There are quite a few mushrooms. Feel free to comment. And there are mushrooms. I love whenever you are able to watch live or even after the just like if you're joining us today, please feel free to comment. And there are
I turned off the screen capture audio. Interesting. try this mic.
Okay. Alright. I'm gonna have it on my phone so I can hear. Hello?
Should be good now, so let me go check.
Okay.
I'll listen. You just start.
Alright. So I'm gonna go ahead and start over on our slides quick because I don't think anyone could actually hear me. So give me just a second and I'll get on the right slide. How do I get on the right slide?
Good.
I tried pressing the arrow and it didn't work. Sorry for all these technical difficulties. No, back to beginning. Yeah, okay. Okay. No, my mouse isn't working now. There it goes. Okay. Sorry guys. So thank you guys for joining me and dealing with all of this little mess right now. We thought we'd have it figured out, but obviously we don't. And hopefully soon we'll have this all worked out and get all the kinks done. But thank you guys. So today's Facebook Live is all about fungi. I love mushrooms and I had a lot of fun creating today's Facebook Live. Mushrooms are probably the coolest thing that I know, and that's coming from an animal person. So if you're joining us today, please say hi. I know we had a couple people commenting. Thank you so much. We didn't even realize there was an issue with the audio until you commented. So thank you, thank you. But yeah, who was it that had joined us earlier?
Your mom.
I know my mom had joined us and was one of the commenters. So hello, thank you. And
Libby Campbell.
And Libby Campbell, thank you, thank you, thank you. So while we're going through the Facebook Live today, feel free to comment any questions or comments that you have at any time. And if you're watching the replay, I will answer your questions as soon as I can. So let's get learning about mushrooms. There we go. So first, before we get too deep into all the coolness of mushrooms, I want to give everyone a quick background into mushrooms. So mushrooms are not plants and they are not animals. They are their own type of thing. So mushrooms are actually more closely related to humans than to plants. And you can see this in the simple fact that fungi breathe oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide, just like humans. Mushrooms can be found almost everywhere, and there are quite a few mushroom species that can be found in North America. So there are more than 15 species of mushroom here in Washington alone. Some mushrooms can be delicious, but others can actually make you hallucinate like a drug, and others still will make you really sick or kill you. In Washington, we have about 7 species of edible mushrooms, 3 species of magic mushrooms, and 5 species of the poisonous mushrooms that will either make you sick or will kill you. So mushrooms are made up of 2 main parts, the fruit body and the mycelium. The mycelium is actually what makes up a majority of the mushroom. It's mostly underground and covers a majority of our earth. So the biggest organism on earth is a fungus. Because the mycelium is like 2.3 miles across, and this is the honey mushroom fungus, and it can be found, and I am so sorry if I butcher this name, but it's the Mahler National Forest in the Blue Mountains of Oregon. So it's really close. Mycelium is smaller than tree roots, and many plants rely on mycelium to support and protect their roots. Mycelium is able to extend the plant's root system and allow whatever plant that is to absorb water and nutrients more effectively than without the mycelium. Scientists have shown that mushrooms and mycelium are essential to forest health, and without them, many plants would die. Mycelium is also excellent at decomposing things, so they're a large part in why we don't have to walk around on dead leaves or other dead things every time that we go outside. Mycelium are super cool. So another awesome fact about mushrooms is that some mushrooms glow. This is also called bioluminescence, which is a chemical reaction that occurs in the mushroom. So this is really similar to what happens in a firefly and allows the mushroom to glow. Mushrooms glow in order to attract insects, which help them to spread their spores. So mushroom spores are how mushrooms grow and move and populate areas. So like plants have pollen, mushrooms have these spores. A mushroomer or a mushroom scientist, they're called a myconologist, I believe is how you say it, call this glowing foxfire. So it's a super cool name for a super cool mushroom trait. But not all mushrooms have foxfire. And most glowing mushrooms can be found on decaying wood. So there are a lot of people that love to forage for fungi, but it can be really dangerous if you aren't an expert. So on this slide, the picture to your left is all edible mushrooms, and the one on your right is all poisonous mushrooms. And on the next slide, I'm gonna have you guys do a little test. So the next slide, I'm gonna have numbers next to each of these pictures, or different pictures of mushrooms, and I want you to try and guess which ones are the poisonous ones and which ones are the tasty mushrooms. And some of them are pretty tricky. So we're gonna go ahead and go to the next slide, and it is time to put in your guesses. I'm gonna go off screen so you can see all of them, but which mushrooms do you think are poisonous and which are tasty? And I'll give you guys like 20 seconds to get your guesses in. And I have this nice little meme on here from Avatar: The Last Airbender, if you ever watched it. But one of the characters in there, Uncle Iroh, is looking at a flower actually that was in the forest, but he can't tell if it is a flower, I believe it's jasmine, that is the delectable tea, or if it's a deadly poisonous flower. And he actually ends up making it into tea, and it ends up being not good, and he gets sick. So I'm gonna give you guys a couple more seconds, because I know we have a lag, and it can take a second to get some guesses in. I'm gonna get 5 more seconds. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and reveal. I'm gonna click, and it should all just go automatically. Okay, so you can see which ones. I'm actually gonna step off screen again so you can see better. We have 2 of them on here that will make you very sick, and 3 of them that are actually good. The 2 that'll make you sick are not deadly, but they are still poisonous. And they look very, very similar to some of them that we have that are delicious. So, my mother, I guess, guessed that number 2 was not a tasty one. And she was not right, which is okay because I actually was tricked by quite a few of these. I had thought that, which one? Number 4 was actually the same one as number 3. I got those switched up when I did it. So It's totally okay if you missed some. This is why we have to be very careful when we go out if we're gonna look for any mushrooms. So I have this one now. I want you guys to see. One of these pictures is the most deadly mushroom, the death cap. And the other one is a tasty straw mushroom. So tell me, which is which? Which one is the death cap and which one is the straw mushroom? Okay, I'll give you guys a couple more seconds just because of the lag and everything. So, sorry if this feels like a long time. Alright, I'm gonna wait like 5 more seconds. Okay, so go ahead and just click it once. All right, so the one on the left is the death cap and the one on the right is the tasty straw mushroom. So I know these two specifically I mixed up. When I was making these slides, I had to keep checking back and forth to make sure that I was getting the right information. And it goes to show why you should never go out and just start picking and eating random mushrooms. Because even when you think that you know what is a good mushroom, it could easily be a deadly mushroom like this one. And you can see too that the death cap is actually has kind of different stages almost, and it looks like different mushrooms might look like at different times. So it's really important to, if you're going to eat wild mushrooms, you get it from someone who is an expert, or you go with someone who's an expert and who knows what they're looking for and exactly what they're looking at. And I just got news that my mom had guessed right on this one, so yay, good job. And if anyone else guessed right, excellent job to you too. So speaking of eating mushrooms, mushrooms are actually a really great source of protein. So of course now we are talking about the mushrooms you can eat that are good, not magic mushrooms and not the deadly mushrooms or poisonous mushrooms. So the edible mushrooms, these can be delicious and they can be made into many different things. It's actually kind of amazing when we start to look at it. So mushrooms have a lot of health benefits that I'm going to go into a little in a minute. But first, I want to show you guys some pictures of mushrooms versus their meat equivalent. So I'm going to step off the screen for a second and keep talking. But I want you to guess which is the meat and which is the mushroom. And I'm going to give you guys a hint and tell you that all of the top are going to be the same and all of the bottom are going to be the same. So I'll give you guys a few seconds to put in your guesses before I tell you the answer. And remember, you're trying to guess which is meat and which is mushroom. Okay, I'm going to give you guys just a couple more seconds, just in case the lag is causing us not to see things right away. Okay, so I think that was enough time to get in any answers. So if you guessed, which I think we had one guess from my mother, thank you, that the meat is on top, then you would be right. So we have our meat on top and our mushroom equivalents are on the bottom. So as I talk you through, I'm gonna step to the side so you can see a little better. So we've got mushroom meatballs on the bottom right of your screen, I believe. And on the top, those are made out of, I think it's pork and beef those are made out of. But the mushroom meatballs look delicious. They look almost identical to the actual meatballs. The scallop equivalent is delicious. They are made from a king oyster, I believe, mushroom, and they taste so much like an actual scallop. It blew my mind. And of course, we have the mushroom burger on your far left. So what's really cool is that all of these mushroom dishes are vegetarian, and they could even be like vegan if you made them that way. Which is really great, and they're so high in protein, and they have a bunch of actual benefits as well. So we'll go to the next slide. In medicine, mushrooms are actually being used. So I have on this slide the best 5 mushrooms that can help you with obviously all the things that are on this slide. So we've got, they can help you, if you were to eat these mushrooms, they can help you with sleep better. They can help you to decrease your anxiety and depression, increase focus, increase your cognition and memory, and concentration. It can help to decrease the effects of aging and decrease blood pressure and cholesterol. And even magic mushrooms, the ones that cause you to hallucinate sometimes, they have been used to help treat depression and PTSD. And we're finding more and more really cool medical treatments that we can use with mushrooms. So, of course, all of these things that I list on this slide, each mushroom gives you something different. So in order to address all of these things on this slide, you'd want to eat all 5 mushrooms, which is totally fine and doable. But it may not be possible for all people. But on our next slide, I wanted to highlight 3 of those 5 mushrooms because they're really cool. And they are pretty available in this area as well. So the 3 that I want to kind of talk about are the lion's mane, turkey tail, and shiitake mushrooms. And all of these can be found wild, and they can be grown in a facility that grows mushrooms. So you can see on this slide, I'm actually going to go off screen for a bit here. You can see on this slide that the lion's mane is really good for the brain and for memory. And it grows around here, and you can find it or buy it from someone, an expert who got it in the wild, or you can get it from a facility. So it supports memory and cognitive function and digestive health. And it also supports the production of nerves and the growth of nerves. Turkey tail mushrooms are cool because they look just like a turkey tail. And they are very, very cool. I think they might be the most cool because not only do they help the immune system, liver, and gut, but they've also been used to help prevent cancer growth. So cancer patients who eat turkey tail mushrooms as part of their medicinal regimen actually see less cancer growth in their body. So this doesn't work for all cancers, but it does work for some, which is really, really cool. And science, doctors and scientists are continuing to look into this as a way to treat cancer. Shiitake mushrooms are the last one, and I included this one because they are really good for improving immune health, liver health, and heart cardiovascular health. But they're also very common, especially in stores. You can easily find shiitake mushrooms. And they also have vitamin D and vitamin B, which are great to add. Okay, So because of how common and sometimes colorful mushrooms are, people are fascinated by them. And mushrooms have been used for thousands of years by people across the world. In 450 BCE, Hippocrates actually said that mushrooms help to reduce inflammation and can help heal wounds. So even BCE, we had people interested in mushrooms and really looking into them. Today, mushrooms are used for so many different reasons, as I've already mentioned, but they're also used in art and the media and video games. So most of us know about Super Mario, Mario Party, and mushrooms are a huge part of that game. They can be different colors and mean different things, and that's why I included a picture here. In the media, you have the Smurfs, who live in mushroom houses. And there are also fairy gardens that people enjoy making and crafting, and mushrooms are commonly a part of that. People also love to put mushrooms into art, and one of my favorites is the picture on the left of your screen. And I like it when they make mushrooms into little people. I think it's really cute. Okay, so finally, within the last few decades, people, I'll go to the next slide. Okay, another amazing thing about mushrooms is that scientists have recently discovered that mushrooms are able to kind of make music. So this isn't really music like you and I might hear, but it's not like any other music I've ever listened to, and it comes from the mushrooms. So we're gonna show this little video. I don't completely understand how it totally works, but I know that the mushroom is going to be emitting electric pulses or electronic pulses, and it's read by a synthesizer, and that's what's making all these sounds. So we're going to go ahead and show this little video. And so you guys can hear it. It's not like any other music I've ever listened to, and it comes from the mushrooms. So we're going to show this little video. Okay, so hopefully you guys could hear that. It's, like I said, people are out there doing this. It's an up and coming kind of thing. So it sounds very, very different than we might call music, but they are communicating, which is very, very cool. There we go. Okay, so finally, within the last few decades, people have begun to use mushrooms in new and fascinating ways. I kind of went down the rabbit hole here, and people have found ways to use mycelium, remember mycelium, to create buildings, living coffins, and even lamps. So there are some companies that have even figured out how to turn mycelium into leather. There's one company that I looked at that I really went down the rabbit hole in, and they're called Milo. And they've teamed up with Adidas, Lululemon, and other popular companies to create environmentally friendly and sustainable clothing options for leather. So in the Adidas, they used the sole of the shoe was made of mushroom mycelium. Lululemon had a yoga mat that was made out of mycelium, and I believe there was a bag, I can't remember now what company it was, but a whole purse bag made out of this leather. And it looks just like leather, and it was really cool. So another thing that you can do is to make these living coffins, which I have a picture of on your top left of your screen, or right of your screen, I'm sorry. And the living coffins are really neat because they're made of mycelium. And the mycelium are decomposers, remember. So they are able to break down the body inside and return it to the earth, which makes it a very eco-conscious way to treat the dead. So mycelium can also be made into buildings. So I have a picture of three buildings here. Two of them are the same building. The picture's on the bottom corners or of the same building, which I'm gonna talk about in just a second. But these buildings, it's mycelium can be made into these bricks, and they can also be made into a material that sticks things together. So it can be sticky or it can be brick. In the Netherlands, an organization created a building called the Growing Pavilion. So that's the picture that's on the bottom two sides. And this is an environmentally friendly building made with mycelium. And what's cool is that this actually helps to clean the air, and it's strong, and it's consistently growing. Mycelium in the past has been also molded and dried in an oven to create like a brick, which you can see in like the middle, which I'm hoping you can see there. And that creates a very strong, very light, fire retardant, shock absorbent, and insulating material. So mycelium, I think, and mushrooms are the way of the future. So I think we need to really continue to look into mushrooms and look into mycelium as a way to build things and to be more eco-friendly and to be more eco-conscious. So I think that is it for our mushrooms today. I've got my wonderful last slide. That is just to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We post all of our Facebook Lives onto YouTube. So this one should be posted by next week, if not earlier. And you can go ahead, you can rewatch this if you'd like to. You can watch it again on Facebook. We have them all there as well. And if you don't follow us on Instagram yet, you should. And I think that's everything. So if you have any questions that you come up with regarding mushrooms, feel free to put them in the comment section. And if not, I am so glad that we can have some people joining us today.